Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the 505 Sports Venture Program. I'm Kurt Roth. This is our show. We come to you weekly to discuss what's going on in the world of NIL, name, image, and likeness, and UNM athletics. I want to say thanks to my producer, Adrian, who's behind the glass to my left. Up the stairs, president and owner of ProView, Steve Davis, a Lobo legend, Steve Davis. I always want to thank Steve for giving us this great opportunity. Today, I'm excited about our guest. It's a little bit a stroll through Lobo history is what we're going to do. And when I think back to the time we're going to cover, it feels like yesterday. However, I think about 50% of our audience wasn't born yet when we're going to talk about the years we're going to talk about, which is 40 years. We're going back 40 years today. Anyway, for all those Lobo fans, you know last week UNM basketball took a hit. One of our top players, one of our most liked players, and one of our guys with the most potential going forward, JT Toppin, entered the transfer portal. It was expected and unexpected all at the same time, and when you see me on the street, ask me about it. I'll explain the inner workings of that whole thing. Yes, on the court and in the locker room, that's a hit for the Lobos. But everybody in college basketball took a hit this year. Duke lost 7 players. BYU lost maybe their most productive or second most productive player coming back. I mean Boise State, excuse me. I've still got BYU on the brain, 1982. And San Diego State lost 3 of its potential starting players. So once again, I just want to remind you, we need your help. It's 505sports.org. Check it out. Get on board. Let's make this UNM 505 thing work. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with our special guest. Hang in there.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Jacory Krosky-Mirror here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. See your baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Spout, get ready.
My coach. My teacher. My older sisters. My grandma. My brother. My tutor. My dad and my mom.
As New Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
Hey, look, it's Dwight Goodman.
This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How about I drive you madman home, huh?
I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom.
Sweet. Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, Dwight.
Boom! Boom!
If you're drunk, blasted, intoxicated, ripped, plastered, taint, destroyed, bruh. If you're like this, you shouldn't be driving.
Hey everybody, welcome back. This is part 2 of this week's episode of the 505 Sports Venture Foundation program. I'm here with a good friend, Lobo alum, top-notch player, local businessman, George Scott. George, how you doing?
Pretty good, Kurt. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's great to have you here. Before we go down memory lane and talk some Lobo history, let's talk about what's going on now. You graduated from UNM almost 40 years ago, right?
Crazy, huh? Yeah, I graduated in the spring of 1985.
Okay, so yes. 39 years ago.
Right.
You got a communications degree, is that right? What did you do?
I graduated in sociology with a minor in communications.
Okay. And now you've been in Albuquerque for the duration. What are you doing now?
I'm working for Farm Bureau Financial Services. Been employed there. Actually, I've been in the industry 36 years. I was thinking about retiring this September, but honestly, I don't have anything lined up in retirement. And the last thing I want to do is be sitting around on my couch watching reruns of SportsCenter all day. So I told my company, I think I'm going to extend another year just so I can figure out what I'm going to do once I finally retire.
Well, you know what? There's no rush on that. I've learned, I decided in my late 60s to take on a retirement job here in Albuquerque, which is the 505 Sports Venture Foundation.
Right.
And I can't imagine not doing something, working.
Exactly.
I could only play so many games of cards, And
exactly. And I'm convinced people need a reason to get out of bed in the morning. You have to have a purpose. And I don't have that purpose yet, so I'm going to re-up another year on the job.
Well, before we go down memory lane, we're going to talk about the present.
Okay.
You not only are a Lobo player, alum, graduate with a significant past, but you're a fan, right? Okay. So I got you on the show last week when you called me and you had just found out that JT Toppin had entered the transfer portal. What was that like?
Well, let me go back a little bit. Hunter Green texted me April Fool's Day, April 1st. And he texted me, George, guess what? JT transferred or entered the transfer portal. And I don't know if anyone remembers it, but that day it was rainy, it was overcast, and I just felt like someone kicked me in the stomach. It was an ugly day. I thought, what a crappy Monday, what a crappy April Fool's Day. So I texted him back, OMG, no way. And then he texted me back, April Fool's, gotcha. And I was like, you blankety blank. So, and then a couple hours later, the sun came out, and all was great in Lobo land. But moving forward, when I found out that JT had entered the portal, again, another kick in the stomach, and I thought back to Hunter and the April Fool's Day prank, and unfortunately, it wasn't a prank. It was real, and it was difficult. As a fan, again, I was just devastated, but not terribly surprised, though. So.
Right. All right. And I've introduced you as sort of a two-way player here. Former athlete, former Lobo player, significant, started 95% of the games you played here. I think the second year, we'll get to it, started every game. The first year, 25 out of 30, something like that.
Right.
But you're a fan.
I'm a huge fan.
So as a fan, the transfer portal, what's it like?
Well, I've been having this running dialogue with Lobo legend Marvin Johnson for the past 30 years about players needing to be paid. Marvin has been saying the entire time that players needed to be paid. I wasn't necessarily on board with that. I just thought room, board, books, and tuition was enough. But I gradually came around Because once these coaches start signing these huge contracts, Coach K, $5 million a year, Cal at Kentucky, $7 million a year, I just start to realize that these players need something. They need some kind of a monthly stipend or something. So I'm now on board that these players need to get paid because there's so much money going around. The NCAA tournament generates billions with the B, billions of dollars. Why not spread it around to the players? So I'm all for it now.
Okay. Like me, I believe that the players deserve this. I believe that for years the NCAA was withholding money that should be shared.
Right.
But no one feels comfortable with the lack of certainty. I know the coaches are upset. It's 45 days. It starts during the NCAA tournament.
I know.
So we think that it's good for the players, the financial part.
Right.
We also know that a large percentage, I think 1,800 plus, was how many Division I men entered the portal this year. I think somewhere around 40%, and I'm not good at math, that's probably around 800 of those, 750, won't wind up anywhere else.
Really?
Yes. So that in itself is a problem. But we do like the idea of getting paid. And it is exciting for you as a fan to wonder who's coming in, because these kids will be replaced.
Right.
So you look forward. Do you follow it closely? Jeff Grammer, the internet, where do you get your information?
I get my information from Jeff Grammer, from just reading the Albuquerque Journal every day, from the Facebook pages, just wherever, rumor, innuendo. And it's kind of hard to stay on top of it because it's ever changing. It's a moving target. And from during the portal season, day to day, week to week, month to month, you have no idea what's going on. It's a very fluid situation, and as a fan, it's kind of nerve-wracking.
Very nerve-wracking. We realize on our website we keep getting people who re-hit. They want to see if anything changed.
Right.
Anyway, we're done with part one here of our episode. Stay with us. Part two, we're going to go back almost 40 years, talk some Lobo hoops. Stay with us.
Seriously? You expect me to drive while you aren't wearing seatbelts?
What's the worst that can happen?
Seriously? Buckle up.
Okay.
Thank you.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Mir here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team's going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
That's funny.
Hey everybody, welcome back to our 505 SVF program. We're here in the studio with my special guest, Lobo alum, local businessman, George Scott. George, thanks for hanging around. All right, so let's start talking George Scott basketball. You grew up or went to high school in Louisville, Kentucky?
Correct.
All right, you played ball. Where'd you play ball in Louisville?
Played ball at Western High School out on Dixie Highway in Louisville, Kentucky, about 15 minutes from Freedom Hall, which is where Rick Pitino and Richard Pitino eventually held court.
Okay. So you're a Louisville guy. You have, obviously, you must have been successful in high school. Had a good career?
Yes, all state, all county, all region. Yeah, worked out pretty well.
Okay, so you had a great career in Kentucky, which even back in the 80s, for considering its population, is a big-time high school basketball
Yes.
state. People love baskets. They play all the time.
Yes.
Gets a lot of attention. And already we're talking early 80s, 80. What year did you graduate?
1980.
All right, so you graduate in 1980. Kentucky, Adolph Rupp and Joe B. Hall had already established a dynasty in college sports, and it continued.
Right.
All right, so now it's time for college. A kid from Louisville winds up in southern Idaho. How in the world did that happen?
I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. Basically, I was what they called in high school a late bloomer. Now it's called having tremendous upside. I was 6'6", 195, soaking wet, and my coach at the time told me that my best basketball was ahead of me. He told me I needed to put on some weight, get some more seasoning, because honestly, I was not ready for Division I basketball. My grades were fine. I just needed some more seasoning, put on some weight. So instead of me going to a small Division II or Division III school, I went to a junior college to get 70 games of seasoning under my belt, under 2 years, hit the weights, and sure enough, did that. Wound up making junior college All-American my sophomore year, All-Conference my freshman year, put on about 15, 20 pounds, hit the weights really hard. In fact, I still weight train to this day. And after that, I got recruited by, 18, 20 different schools.
Okay, let me stop you before we get to that. You didn't have, now these kids, a lot of them, if they're in your situation, high school, even if they stay, you went to a public high school.
Correct.
Okay. If they're in a public high school, often, and you didn't really have that option then, they go to a prep school.
Right.
They play prep basketball for a year,
right.
which, as far as I can tell, is limited school. Sometimes they need to get their grades up for college,
right.
but they take sometimes low-level college courses, some courses they haven't passed in high school,
right.
and then they go on a travel type situation. That prep school option, that didn't really exist when you were around.
I never heard of prep school until, maybe 10 years ago, so I know very little about it. So, yeah, when I came up, it was either, high school, junior college, or college. Okay, so this prep school thing is a recent phenomenon as far as I'm concerned.
Right. And kids, there's arguments on both sides whether it's good or not. All right, but now you're in southern Idaho. You obviously, you explained to us you had a great 2 years. What was it like going from Louisville as a kid to southern Idaho? It had to be a big culture shock.
Oh boy, culture shock is an understatement. First of all, the people were very, very nice up there. They could not have been more welcoming and accommodating. Weather was cold. It was freezing cold out there. Thank God I took a coat. But it would start snowing right around early October, and the snow was still on the ground until probably mid-March or April. Freezing cold, great baked potatoes. There were baked potatoes probably as big as this football. I am not exaggerating. Great baked potatoes up there. Very nice people. Great weather. And because there wasn't because it was a small town with not a lot to do, we just focused on basketball and books.
So it worked. Okay. So you're JUCO All-American in your last year.
Right.
And in those days, it was pretty rare for somebody to go after 1 year. You committed basically for 2 years at JUCO, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So now you're All-American. You had great success. Your body's changed.
Right.
You're ready for D1. And when I interrupted you rudely, you had said there were 18 schools interested in you.
Right.
Give us a couple of the leaders that you considered other than the Lobos.
Well, I'll tell you where I visited. I visited UNM, obviously. I visited Arizona State on the weekend, Alabama, Baylor, and Cal State Fullerton were my 5 visits that I took.
Cal State Fullerton. Don't even mention that word.
Why? Oh, okay. 1978.
Yeah.
I get it.
So What made your decision UNM?
From the time I flew into the airport, saw those mountains, the weather was perfect that weekend. I just loved it. It was just a beautiful city. People were nice. It just felt like I was home. It felt natural. The other schools I visited, it just didn't feel like it would have been a good fit. It didn't feel natural, but probably within a couple of hours of touching down, it just felt like a good, natural fit.
All right, who led the recruiting?
Bob Lamphere, my former assistant coach here, he's a retired State Farm agent now. He and I still talk and text all the time. He's a big Lobo fan. He's got season tickets.
We got to get introduced.
Oh yeah. You know what? You and him would hit it off like two peas in a pod. Great guy. Yeah, but Bob Lamphere.
And Colson, Gary Colson was our coach.
Gary Colson, God rest his soul, yes.
Felt very comfortable with him. For Lobo fans, and we're going to get more into this in our final segment, you have to understand, for young Lobo fans, the Lobos were, Gary Colson came to UNM and was taking the Lobos out of Lobo Gate, which people don't realize almost caused UNM to go get the death penalty.
Yes.
It was considered by the NCAA to take basketball off the calendar for a year or two at UNM. Colson came in, did unbelievable work, rebuilt the program, and then got rudely treated for it. But that's a whole nother story. Anyway, stay with us. We could talk for hours on this. George and I are going to do another 6 or 7 minutes. We'll be right back.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is Pro View. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on Pro View Networks.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Spout, get ready!
My coach, my teacher, my older sisters, my grandma, my brother, my tutor, my dad and my mom.
As Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
What's going on? Who are you guys?
Well, sir, I'm gonna pick you up at the DWI checkpoint for drunk driving.
And that's when I have to come down to get you out of jail.
Well, temporarily. I'm Judge Torres. They call him the Hammer. Hey, hot off the presses, champ.
I'm real proud of you, honey.
Way to make them happy back home, Captain. Who's that? That's your new buddy in jail.
I understand.
I even told Hunter, brother, we were born 40 years too late.
Hey, everybody. Sorry. George and I are talking off camera nonstop. So I'm glad we kept it clean. All right. We don't have that much time. There's a lot to talk about. You pick UNM. You're here in 82 and 83. I reviewed the stats. I think you started 25 out of 30 games. You had a good year. Tell us a little bit about that year.
Well, yeah, I would have started every game, but I had some nagging injuries here and there. But I was a permanent starter for both years. Games I didn't start, they were due to injuries or whatever.
Right.
So
you had great stats. Team had a under 500 record. Now, we realize, and I talked about it before, we're coming out of a period where the Lobos got wiped out, started from scratch. Colson came in after Lobogate and was building it back, and we know he got successful. So who was the leading scorer on that team?
Leading scorer my junior year was Tim 14 Carat Garrett.
There you go. There's an old name. Only old timers know that. That's before the internet. You can't go get you if you can find a YouTube with Tim 14 Carat Garrett. Send it to me. All right. Now you get hurt. You sit out a year.
Right.
What was that like? Tough?
I got hurt in practice. I took a bad spill, and I was wanting to come back because I get hurt in the preseason, but I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't go. So, yeah, it was very tough because I wanted to play. I had trained hard all season in Louisville, Kentucky. I used to run at night around the park in my Muhammad Ali combat boots, to give me those quick, fast feet. I used to literally run in combat boots like he did.
Right, of course.
I'm out shooting free throws at night, so I was looking forward to the season. Got injured, had to sit out, but it worked out great academically because I got ahead in school. I didn't have to travel, didn't have to practice, so academically, I got ahead in school, so it all worked out for me.
All right. You mentioned Muhammad Ali.
Right.
Louisville, Kentucky.
Right.
All right. For those, again, those youngsters who are joining us, you know a lot about, you've heard the name Muhammad Ali, a man well ahead of his time. I believe, in my lifetime, the greatest individual athlete that ever lived.
Absolutely.
He put up with all sorts of crap, tough, treated poorly by the United States government. But anyway, a hero from Louisville.
Absolutely.
Okay. So now we come back 84, 85. You're healthy. We go. Who's on the team?
One of the better teams, I think. At the point was Scarborough. At the 2 was Hunter Green.
Hunter Green.
Young. He was a sophomore. He was a sophomore my senior year. So Hunter at the 2. Mike Winters from El Dorado High School was at the 3. At the 4 was Big Bad Johnny Brown. And I was the 5-man.
Okay. And the team improved. You were playing, and it's all part of the Colson Renaissance.
Right.
Slowly but surely recruited solid guys, great players, and good teammates.
Right.
These are a good team.
Good guys.
Okay. So we don't have that much time. I got to jump ahead to that year, and we can talk forever. Back to back, December 21st and December 23rd, 22nd, night after night. Not a tournament, I was told, just by schedule quirk.
Right.
University of Arizona in the pit, not the number 1 team, but a good University of Arizona State, Arizona team. Steve Kerr.
Right.
Lobos win by a point.
Right.
You get hurt. Tell us.
Okay, I'll quickly tell you. Actually, it was a blowout. We blew them out. That was Lute Olson, another blast from the past. That was Lute Olson's first team at Arizona. So we blew them out. Midway through the second half, I got kicked or kneed in my left thigh. Couldn't finish the game. I got helped up the ramp. I wasn't even sure if I was going to play the following night against Georgetown.
Okay, so you got Georgetown coming in. You spilled the beans. The next night, but you get worked on. Toe Diem does a miracle, and you're in the lineup.
I went down to the athletic department the morning of the Georgetown game. Toe worked on me all day long, massage, hot oil, electric stimulation. He basically got me going to the point where I could walk on it. Then I could do a light jog, and then come game time, I was ready. He pushed me out there, and he said, make us proud.
All right. Now, people, you don't understand. 84-85 college basketball season. If you know the history, you know that the championship game that year, the NCAA championship, was Villanova-Georgetown. Georgetown was a huge favorite. Maybe purists say Villanova may have played the greatest college game of all time to win down the stretch. They stun Georgetown. But playing in the pit right after Arizona, you've got Michael Jackson, Billy Martin, Reggie Williams,
Horace
Broadneck's on the bench, Grady Mateen on the bench,
Ralph Dalton
on the bench. These guys are monsters, Grady Mateen and Dalton.
Right.
They all then played in the future, but they had Patrick Ewing. You covered Patrick Ewing.
Big Bad Patrick, yeah.
What was that like?
Well, for me, it was scary because, again, the morning of the game, I couldn't even walk. And I felt like I was being led to the gallows or I was being fed to the lions at the Coliseum on one leg against the #1 pick in the NBA draft that spring. So God is good. It all worked out somehow. I wasn't embarrassed. I basically played him to a statistical standoff. They barely beat us, and people are still talking about that game 40 years later.
I'm talking about it right now. Incredible performance. Ewing had 14. George had 13 that game. The rebounds were basically the same. Virtual standstill. Lobos almost won it. Anyway, George, I want to say thanks. Thanks for being here. We're going to have you back when the roster's set. Everyone else, thanks for joining us today. It was a great show. And remember, 505sports.org. We need your help. Things are going well, but we need the whole community involved. We'll be back next week with an update on our new Lobo roster. Take care, and we'll see you then. All right.
Good deal.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us, and my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.